What's up, everybody? I'm Sly The Movie Guy, and here's my movie review of Wonder Woman 1984, directed by Patty Jenkins, starring Gal Gadot, Chris Pine, Pedro Pascal, Kristen Wiig, and the rest of the other casting crew. And in this film, set in 1984 during the Cold War, the film follows Diana and her past love, Steve Trevor, as they face off against Maxwell Lord and Cheetah. I was really excited for this film because I'm a big fan of the Wonder Woman film that came out in 2017. I absolutely enjoyed it. I thought it was a fantastic film. Pat Jenkins did a fantastic job directing that film, and Gal Gadot's performance was just phenomenal. Chris Pine and Steve Trevor, everybody involved with that film did great, except for maybe the third act in the film with the CGI with Ares and Wonder Woman fighting. But besides that, that film was just fantastic from start to finish. One of my favorite comic book films, if not one of my favorite films out of the DCU. So I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman 1984. And it was supposed to come out in 2019. If you remembered, it was like December 13th. And that didn't happen. So it got moved to like November that same year. And then later on, it got moved to 2020. And I was kind of like really anticipated for that film to come out in 2019. And that didn't happen. So I was like, okay, I'll look forward to this film in 2020, which we had to wait longer because it was supposed to come out like June 5th, 2020. And that didn't happen because of this pandemic. Then later on, it kept getting delayed, different months. And then later on, it got a release on December 25th this year. And I was happy to see it. And it was between like going to the movie theater and HBO Max. They kind of made it an option where you can watch it at home on streaming service. So I just watched it on HBO and stayed with the family on a holiday, then go out to the theaters to see it. And the question is the film any good and is it better than the first movie? Let me start off with the positives. Starting off with the performances. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is fantastic once again. Just like the first movie, she did a fantastic job. Some people doubted her, but she was good in that film. And here, she was definitely fantastic. Her performance was good. She really owns the role as Wonder Woman. I really bought into her as her character. She really, I cared for her, what she was going through with Steve Trevor, her love for him, and her saving the world. I really bought into it in this film, and I thought she did good. 2 thumbs up. Chris Pine as Steve Trevor is fantastic. Once again, just like the first movie, his chemistry with Gal Gadot was just good. I just really enjoy their chemistry on screen. It's just like one of the probably the best things out of the 2 Wonder Woman films, the first one and this one. It was just so good. Really love the chemistry. And Steve Trevor's performance was just good here. I wouldn't say it was better than the first movie, but hey, his performance was great with Gal Gadot's. Kristen Wiig as Barbara/Cheetah was good. It was good. There was one of the things that the internet was kind of reacting when she was casted as Cheetah, was like, oh my God, is this going to be horrible? What they're doing? I was one of the people that played the Michael Keaton Batman thing, was like, when the film, I'll make a judgment after I see the film, and she did good. I thought her motivation was convincing in this film. I liked how they went with it and stuff, how she feels and stuff about herself, because she's kind of like the dorky character. If you've seen the pictures with her, the glasses and stuff, I thought it worked in the film and stuff for what she was given. So I thought her performance was good. Then Wonder Woman's backstory as a child and stuff that was shown and stuff. If you've seen the trailers, that stuff was in this movie, and I thought those were one of the things that was really, really good in this movie. Her backstory, the flashback stuff about her as a child and stuff, what she was doing in the Amazon. Thought those things were great. I loved it all. That was one of the best things in the movie. I mean, if they could have gave me a whole lot of it in the movie, I would have enjoyed every minute of it. I mean, I just enjoyed that part. It was just one of the things that I thought were the best moments in this film. So that alone was really good. Then Hans Zimmer music score here is fantastic. Oh, the music score is great. Hans Zimmer does it once again, man. Hans Zimmer, I doubt ever had a hiccup when it comes to music score in films like The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, and other films he have done. I doubt it. And he's just that good as a music composer, and the music score is just great. And Hans Zimmer is like one of the best music composers in Hollywood, easily like top 5. The music score is just great, and I could go on about it. 2 thumbs up for that. I think everything I mentioned, the positives in this film, were good. Everything about the performance, the characters, and the music score, all things were great. When it comes to the storyline, it was okay. As the beginning of the film, I was like, okay, this is fine. But as the film was going on, it didn't really like work for me. It wasn't as investing. It really kind of like it happened around, I say, closer to the closer to like maybe like the hour, or like maybe like an hour, or closer to the when it like in the second act, close to the middle of the film, when it got to that hour, it just didn't really like it didn't work for me as it was progressing. And what I mean is, it's this, without getting to any spoilers, because if you've seen the movie, you might have a general idea what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I'm going to try and not spoil it for you if you haven't seen the film yet. It's this one object thing that our main villain, played by Pedro Pascal as Max Lord, is this one object thing that it becomes like so fascinating to him and stuff. Because if you get to his motivation, it's this one thing that is like this one object thing he gets, and one of our other characters like gravitates to, like Wonder Woman and Cheetah. Once they gravitate to this thing, stuff happens in the film. And in the beginning, I kind of was like trying to figure out where this was going to go. And as it was going on in the film, it was just kind of like one of those things that was just like, it just didn't work for me. And like I said, in the beginning, I was just trying to figure out how this was going to go. I was like, okay, that's where, and I was questioning on like, is that's where they're going with? And as it was going on, it was just kind of like, okay, this is kind of, I don't know. It just gave me a head scratch, and I just couldn't buy into it. I just couldn't relate to the story. Some aspects of the story I can relate to it when it came to our main villain, but when it connected to our main hero and Cheetah and stuff, Kristen Wiig, it kind of was like nah, it's kind of going too far with it, and especially a film set in 1984 and stuff in the Cold War, it just didn't work for me in that time era and stuff. So I was just like, I don't know. The story just wasn't as convincing like the first movie, and that's kind of strange because usually when you do your sequel stories should be at least like bigger and better than the original. And so far with comic films, we have some comic films that have sequels better than the original, and so far the sequels storylines in some comic movies that's been like a miss, just kind of like as not as strong as the first movie and stuff. So this story here was just kind of, I say, weak. In some aspects it was good and all, but then it kind of like wasn't investing. And this main object thing that's kind of like the MacGuffin has to keep the story going. It would be kind of hard to cut that part out because it keeps the movie going. So if you take it out, the story wouldn't make sense. So this thing has to be in the movie to make sense for our main protagonist than our antagonist in the film. And fine, if that was what they were going for in the film, that works. But for me, it just didn't work for me. Wasn't my cup of tea at all. So that part didn't work. And it really became involved with our main villain, Max Lord, played by Pedro Pascal, which I think he's a very fantastic actor. I mean, from Mandalorian season 1 and 2, which I just got done watching Mandalorian season 2, which by the way, that series was really good. Season 2 was just fantastic. But anyways, his performance here was just so over the top. And I don't mind if you have like a villain that has over the top performance here in their films. I mean, we have seen some over the top performance in comic films like in the past. Some of it really worked, but some, and maybe like in the past of recent years, it just didn't work out at all. I mean, and like I said, it can work as long as like if it fits the tone in the movie and stuff. But Pedro Pascal performance was just so like so high up, like on the like a mountain hilltop. I mean, like cars with high beams. It was just so. It was just like right in your face. It never like toned down at all. And he was just chewing up every scene. And I love Pedro Pascal. I think he's very fantastic, very talented. It just his performance was just so out of reach, especially around like it's like once like particularly like in a scene and stuff like where he was like all out like this and stuff. It just was just so. It was just crazy. It just felt like a bit of very cartoony. It just felt like something you would see out of a like in the comic films in the late 90s and stuff when comic films wasn't as good. It just felt like that. It was just so up there. And I just don't know what was that the direction that the director wanted him to go with. If that was the case, then they succeeded on that. And as far as his performance, he succeeded in it. It felt so like out of place. They really just pushed it, and that's all I can say about his performance. It's really crazy. Now I'll talk about the tone in this movie. Now, from what the trailers, from what I've seen from the trailers, there was going to be this most fun 80s action movie, which I don't mind. I love fun, colorful movies. I mean, from like Spider-Man, Thor Ragnarok to other comic movies like Aquaman, Shazam. All those movies have this fun vibe of it. Wonder Woman, some of the vibe tone of it, the fun vibe of it, worked. It really worked. But overall, it just kind of didn't well balance when it came to the serious moments. Like for me, it didn't. When it came to some of the serious moments, it was just too much fun where when it got to the serious moments, it kind of like makes the film unbalanced for me a little bit. It just didn't it worked a little bit, but then at times when it came to especially towards the close to the end of the film, I was just kind of already was out of it. Okay, this movie was just too fun. What I mean by this film is just so very fluffy. This is probably the most fluffy film since Shazam, but Shazam has some very serious moments in that film. Shazam was a very fun film, but it understood when to take itself serious, but had that fun vibe in it. And fair enough to compare it, the first Wonder Woman movie had this little bit of that fun vibe, had that light tone to it, but it had that serious stuff that was done at the right moments with the fun stuff. The first Wonder Woman movie was fun. It didn't have that much dark in it, and I expect this movie to be completely dark, but at least have some serious parts in it. And we have came a long way with comic films, some of them that know how to balance the fun and the seriousness a little bit out, know how to be self-aware. This film went so far with it where in some parts I couldn't tell where was the serious moments were at. And there was some there, but it just didn't grab me as a whole there. And that was one of the disappointing elements of this film. I wanted to say, wow, this works, but it just doesn't. Now, lastly, the action in this movie. The action here is, I say, it's some of it. Now, if this was my first Wonder Woman movie I've seen, the first time I've seen this movie, I'd be like, okay, the action's great. But then after just seeing the first Wonder Woman movie, where the action was just so good in that film with the no man's land and stuff, that gave you that emotional vibes to it, that goosebumps, the way she was walking on that field with that was just so powerful. Those were one of the most powerful scenes. And then the action scene when she goes inside that warehouse, beating those guys up, oh, that gave me chills. I love that scene so much in that first Wonder Woman movie. When it comes to this film, the action scenes, like I said, they were okay. It's not at that level as that first movie. And that was just so disappointing for me. I just was looking for it. And some of it was really good, but some of it didn't give me that punch that was yes, that I've seen in the past in recent comic movies, action scenes that had that visceral sense to it. And this didn't have like that action scene that had that visceral to it, like especially in the third act, which I won't get involved in, like which in the third act, the third act with the action scene just didn't give me that vibe of it. It just didn't give it to me, and it was just like, I was just disappointed with that. Like you could have had me there, but you just you missed the mark of it. And it's been shown in the trailer where some of the action scenes were her and Cheetah and stuff. It was okay. It was fine, but it just didn't give me that best like action moment where we see our main hero and the villain, that final showdown that's like so powerful. We have seen that in the past of recent comic films where directors have they really like nailed that scene. Like, wow, it's amazing. Where you could talk about it for ages. I still talk about the first Wonder Woman action scenes in that movie so much that in this movie I probably won't remember any of the best action scenes at all, like the best moments of it. And that was just one of the things I'm just like, was just very disappointed with. And I wanted to love it so much, but it just was one of the big letdowns for me. Like I said, some of it was passable, some of it was okay, but overall, it just was big step down to the first movie. As far as the directing, I'm pretty sure Patty Jenkins put in a lot of work of directing this film and stuff, and I'm pretty sure the writers tried in this film, but it's just certain like decisions that they made for this film. It just didn't really didn't, for me, it didn't work. For some people, it probably did. It just, for me, I just expected something a little bit better and stuff, maybe close to the first film, not maybe better than the first film, but just as close, as good as the first film. And that's pretty much it. Overall, do I recommend this film? I say check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Like I said, this film had so much fun, had a fun vibe to it that you'll enjoy with the 80s and stuff like that. I say it is a film that kids will enjoy. So if you have any kids, let them see the film. They'll probably enjoy it. And if you're looking for a fun film, I say check it out. Just for me, the film was not, I won't say it's like the worst comic film. I had some fun with it. Certain things that happened in the film I enjoyed. But overall, this film just didn't hit the right notes for me. And it just was not as better than the first movie or just as good as the first movie. And it just didn't work for me at all. I wanted to enjoy this film. I like Patty Jenkins. I think she's very talented. Gadot, everybody involved with this film. This film was just okay, but just was just very disappointing. I'm going to give this film a C-. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this film. Did you like it or not? Let me know. And like I said again, if the viewers out there, if you enjoy this film, hey, I'm happy for you. For me, I want to like it, but hey, I just didn't enjoy it. And that's pretty much it. Just like I said, let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this film. Do you like it or not? Let me know. And that's pretty much it. And as always, if you like this video, click thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, click subscribe and the bell button for more future content. That's how I can see you next time on Sly the Movie Guy. Peace.